Good afternoon, Muttonistas. This is exciting for me. I haven't seen a lot of these kits before, apart from the City kit, so it'll be news as much for me as it will be for you. There'll be some absolute creamers down to some absolute shockers.
Hey guys, that's exactly how we're going to be rating it today. We have this scale here. We have it's an absolute creamer at the top, followed by it's a creamer, followed by run of the mill, could be better, and then Prime Mutton, you just coined it's an absolute shocker, and you said you've had a couple absolute shockers when it comes to Guinness in your day.
Yes, in China. And I think it was in Chengdu. And when I saw the colour of the head looking a bit brown, I thought, do I really have to review and drink this? And it was, as I suspected, an absolute shocker.
So, Prime Mutton, we have to decide here on the scale because we already talked a little bit about the Premier League home kits. They're a little bit more conservative. I would say some of them are absolute shockers. We'll get to that. But imagine here, you're obviously not rating Guinness, you're rating the kits. Let's put them on an Irish scale. Let's keep them to the utmost, feet to the fire here and rate them exactly how they are. This is the Premier League, the best league in the world. So these kits deserve to have a lot of scrutiny if they're not very good. Let's just put it that way.
Indeed so. Although there's a limit to how creative you can be with a home kit because you want the basic colour to stay the same year in, year out.
With that in mind, guys, let's get started here. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to start off with Arsenal.
So, what do I think of this? Well, I'd say that could be better, a bit like the nerve and bottle at the end of each season. I think those stripes on the arms are a bit, I don't know, they're a bit 1970s to me. The basic design, of course, is the usual thing. I prefer it when they had the all red sleeves. Obviously, not being an Arsenal supporter, my opinion doesn't matter as much as Arsenal fans. But no, I think this could be a bit better. This one.
So what do we think in Prime Mutton? I'm going to have you rate each one because no one sincerely probably cares. What I think here on these jerseys, it's all about your creamer scale. Which one would you place Arsenal's kit?
Could be better.
It could be better. So let's move that over to it could be better. Next kit we have Aston Villa's new 2025-2026 home kit.
Yeah, I like that one. It's got the primary colours of the team blended nicely. I think that's a creamer. That one. I like that kit. I think the way that the purple melds into the blue, it's very nicely done.
Yeah, I mean, I just to throw a couple of 2 cents in, I do like the 1874 on the back and also the design there on the bottom of the sleeve. I think paying homage to Villa Park. So when you walk in, there's that little design over the frames, the doors. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
So it's a creamer.
Yeah. So club badge nicely pronounced as well on that shirt.
I think that's fair. I think that's a good. We're off to a good start. So good job, Aston Villa there. And next kit we have is Bournemouth.
That I quite like as well. In terms of the sponsor, BJ88, I don't know who that is, who that refers to. So, in terms of advertising effectively, I suppose it's made me aware of a brand I didn't know about, but I like the stripes as well. That's another creamer, that one is.
And there's one more thing, Prime Mutton, that maybe because I looked at all these beforehand, and obviously it's your first time seeing them. The design is actually, but we know Bournemouth is on the coast, so you see almost what appears to be sand in between the stripes.
Yes. Now I look at it closely, I see what you mean. Yeah.
So you think it's still a creamer?
Yeah.
Let's pull that up to creamer level. I'd agree with that. And now we move on to our next kit, which is Brentford.
Now, for me, this basically looks very similar to every Brentford kit I've seen, although small things like the collar, I wouldn't really know because I don't look at Brentford's kit too much. So it doesn't stand out to me. It's not terrible. So I'm going to say this is like a run-of-the-mill kit, this one is.
I think we're on the same page so far. And I'm not really a huge fan of the sponsor, the Hollywood Bets.
Okay, I don't know what that is either, but then again, I spend so much time in certain establishments like pubs and restaurants that I wouldn't know all of these companies. I mean, that's some very obvious songs and films I don't even know about. So that's just me.
Well, the next one, I think everyone knows American Express. Obviously, massive,
Yeah,
massive credit
yeah,
card there.
yeah.
But this kit, I like this one. I'm not going to influence you, Prime Mutton, but what do you think about this
Yeah.
one?
I quite like that one. I'm trying to think of what it looked like last season and how it varies. Obviously, the blue and white stripes are something you'd always expect to see. What I would say is that the sponsor's logo, the American Express, fits in nicely there. Sometimes the sponsor's logo can look like some awkward print over, but I think that's, yeah, I'm going to say that's a creamer as well.
I think it's a creamer too. I also really like the turquoise coming down from the arm sleeve, the armpit there.
Mm.
So we'll say it's a creamer for Brighton. All right. So at this point, we have three creamers. We have one run of the mill. We have one could be better to Arsenal. I agree with this full heartedly, Prime Mutton. The next one is Burnley. This is an interesting kit, an interesting design, I think.
Well, as a promoted side, I haven't seen them for a while. And actually, Burnley is one of the away games I struggle to get a ticket for. It's very close to Manchester, and the stadium's not that
Is
big,
it
so we don't get a huge allocation.
Turf Moor, right? Isn't that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's quite a nice kit. I like the colour of the collar and the stripes at the end of the sleeve. But I'm going to say this one's run of the mill because it looks a bit like what I've seen Burnley playing in before.
Yeah, I think so too. To me, this kind of is more of an away kit. I know that's just their home colors, of course, but I think the design, the more the modernist elements, that's how I read it. Also, Dude Perfect is a YouTuber, great channel, but that's interesting that YouTubers are now starting. Actually, Prime Mutton, that's a good question for you. Is there outside of Man City, which is probably unrealistic? You're climbing through the ranks here of content creation. You're building quite a following. If you had to pick a club that you could be a kit sponsor outside of Man City, who would you pick?
Well, a team that's very local to me, Stockport County, playing in League One. Or there's another club actually way down the divisions, and I hope to go to a game of theirs sometime. I don't even know which league they're in. It's a non-league team called Stretton FC, and they've got their own Prime Mutton flag in support of their club. So I'd like to come and see how it goes
That
there.
could be a really cool away day, honestly. And guys, Prime Mutton and I have been talking on and off camera here. He's also launched tons of merch, so his own merch designs and everything that I think would be at it's an absolute creamer scale. You guys can check those out. I'll put them Prime Mutton for you in the description too of this video as well, so they can check out the merch. The next one, we have a big London club, a London club that just found itself winning the Club World Cup. Which, by the way, Prime Mutton, you were on your U.S. tour. Overall
Yep.
impressions of the Club World Cup. Did you see Chelsea play while or you're mostly just following Man City?
I I saw a bit of them playing, and it's fair to say the draw opened up for them, but that happens in the Champions League most years. There's a bloodbath on one side of the draw, and then somebody gets a good run on the other side. They get to the final, and hey, when Chelsea played that final, they played really well and deserved to beat PSG. So I think it's a great idea, the competition, and a lot of European, well, I don't know about on the continent, Britain, it was poo pooed a
Hmm.
lot. But then again, this happened with the Europa League until some of the media darlings like Tottenham and Man United started playing in the competition and it suddenly became more serious. I mean, I remember people used to basically pull their nose or hold their noses when the Europa League was mentioned. Same with the Club World Cup, but I think it'll grow and grow and get better and better. Now, for people who aren't invested in their national team, it's a big deal. Also, teams that are not in Europe who cannot play in the Champions League, this was a big tournament. The South American support was terrific in the Club World Cup. And I think if you hold this in Europe, it'll be absolutely massive with huge crowds. And a lot of the people who were sniping at it, I think, were teams who wanted to be involved or supporters of teams who wanted to be involved and weren't, say, Liverpool or Barcelona or Arsenal.
That's a great point. And guys, if you want to hear more about Prime Mutton's U.S. travels, definitely check out the podcast after this video. I'll link it at the end of the video here. But Prime Mutton, back to this kit, which interesting.
Yes, it's quite a good one. This one is actually. I mean, when I look at the subtle patterns, it's actually quite a well-made kit. This is. I'm not going to quite give it an absolute creamer, but I'm going to give it a creamer status because it's a nicely made kit. It's fairly simple. I don't know where the sponsor's logo is, but maybe that exists. I don't know, but I like the slightly wacky patterns you
Yeah.
get there. Club badge clear. I don't know about the red inside of the collar, what that's got to do with anything, but yeah, I'm going to say that's a creamer.
It's a creamer. I'd agree with that. I like the wacky patterns myself. So let's put that up to it's a creamer. Right next to, we have Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Brighton Hove Albion, and Chelsea for it's a creamer status. Moving right along here, we have a club in South London, I believe in Croydon, Crystal Palace, who's coming off of an FA Cup victory, a major trophy for Crystal Palace. And this season, how does their home kit look to you, Prime Mutton?
That looks. It's not doing a lot for me, that kit, I have to say. And I've got nothing against Palace at all, by the way. I enjoy my trips to Selhurst Park. I'm going to say this one's. I mean, I can't even see the club badge clearly on this one. I'm going to have to say, unfortunately, again, that there's too much going on with the sleeve as well. So I'm going to have to say this is an absolute shocker, this one. If you
Whoa.
can't see the badge clearly, then there's something wrong with the design.
Yeah, I almost think a circle badge or something behind the design would do it some justice to stand out. It's an absolute shocker. That's the first one we've had.
Yeah, it's got absolutely nothing to do with Palace or not liking them. It's more to do with the design of the shirt.
And let's make that clear. Yeah, this is just fully on the designs. And Prime, we do have Man City coming up. I gave you two designs on there. I gave you the home and the away. So we'll give you that. The next one we have a club in Liverpool, not Liverpool, but Everton, which I believe this is their coming up on their first season at their new stadium with their new 2025
Yes,
kit.
that should be quite exciting. Yeah, this one's better. This one is this. I think those slightly wavy horizontal stripes kind of give you the image of the sea.
Mhm.
The collar is fairly simple, nothing too garish. The sleeves are of the same colour. You can see the club badge. So
And one
I
more thing, Prime, too, the
think I
Everton lockout. The Everton lockout on the back of the collar there at the
yeah.
top.
Oh yes, yes. I'm gonna give this one a creamer. I think it's a good kit.
I think that's right. I think it's a creamer. Okay, the next one. I don't want to influence you here, Prime Mutton. And this was really hard to find the right graphics online for. Like I said, not every single jersey's been released. This one has been. Um, what do you think of this Fulham kit here, 2025-26?
Well, okay, it's the traditional colour of Fulham, but I'm not a fan of these 1970s style stripes on the shirt, so I'm afraid this is. I think they could do better there. I think that's a below average kit. It's not an absolute shocker, but
Okay.
it's
So you're going to say could be better along with Arsenal.
yeah,
I agree. I think
yeah.
that Fulham, they just opened up that new stand. Uh, I love Craven Cottage. It's actually my favorite ground in England I've been to. Uh, I just wish. I think it's fit for a better kit too. I agree with you. No.
Yeah, it's a lovely walk along the Thames to and from the stadium as well. I might add,
Yeah. No.
and some very good pubs as well. In fact, there's a pub called the Bricklayers Arms just down the road in Putney. They serve up an absolute creamer of a pint as well of Guinness. So if anybody's at Craven Cottage, that's the place to go.
When you see these kits, do you think of the pubs we're on the creamer scale here, but do you kind of associate each club with maybe a nearby pub that serves up absolute creamers?
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends where you are. I'm a bit embarrassed to say away fans go to Manchester City. You really have to do your drinking in the centre. The pubs around the ground are not suitable for away fans. So it depends where I am. Not all pubs or not all grounds rather have pubs nearby which serve great stout. In fact, it's often the case that that isn't the case. More often than not, I'll actually have a hand pulled cask ale rather than a stout because if I don't know the pub and I've not read good reviews about it serving good stout, then I'm quite happy to have an ale instead if they have cask ale.
Well, how about Leeds? We're in Leeds. Is there anywhere good for a good pint of Guinness? Because that's our next kit we have. Or a good stout.
No, that's somewhere where I'd have ale as well.
Okay. Well, the kit. This is interesting, Prime Mutton. I'll keep my opinion out of it. I got to stop talking here. What do you think?
I would say it's run of the mill. Again, at least the stripes on the shoulders are not particularly pronounced. I'm just not a big fan of them. Leeds having an all white kit, there is actually a limit to how creative you can be with a white kit as well. So I'm going to say run of the mill. The shoulder markings, I don't know. They don't do an awful lot for me. I'm not even sure what it is. So I'm going to say run of the mill for the Leeds kit.
Yeah, and also I don't think you like that Adidas pattern going down the side, like I have actually on this
No,
on this kit here.
I remember they used to be on the England kit when we played the 1982 World Cup, and I just thought they looked and they still look a bit tacky to me. I have to say, but maybe that's just my taste.
All right, so this next one, Prime Mutton, is it's tough because the kit hasn't been released yet. So you see, it's a leaked kit. You have Mo Salah there wearing it in a very granulated image, the best I could do, and that's actually a leaked photo. And then we have what
Yeah.
appears to be the new home kit for Liverpool, which, by the way, after 13 years, they're switching from Nike to Adidas. Um, yeah, which
Okay.
is interesting, going back to kind of your Steven Gerrard days, I would say. So, what are your thoughts?
I quite like this one actually. I like the white pattern down the side and under the arms. It makes it look quite sleek. The LFC Liverbird motto is quite prevalent. I think it's well designed. Okay, I'm going to call that a creamer as
It's a
well.
creamer. Okay. I like it.
And they've managed to avoid the tacky stripes as well. So,
Which I think Liverpool could roll out the stripes pretty easily too. You've seen it before on their
yeah.
kits. Yeah, so it's a creamer. We'll put that up. So the two Liverpool clubs are creamers. Now we're moving into Prime Mutton. We'll talk more on the podcast about Man City and your supporter, how you're a massive supporter there to the home kit. I'll wait till this here. What are your thoughts on the Man City home kit for this season?
Well, I absolutely love that, and I'll be definitely buying one because it is a kind of fusion with the stripe going diagonally from the sleeve down to the bottom. play on one of our more famous away kits, which is the white kit with the red and black stripe going down the middle, and we played a lot of famous games in that kit. So I'm going to have to say this is an absolute creamer. This one, yes, I am biased, of course.
I'm sure you're biased, but I still think this is an absolute creamer. I love the white going across too, and it's just yeah. And it's something that's understated about this. I think too is I like the city on the back, of course, but even though you have the white, so unlike Crystal Palace where the badge got lost, which was an absolute shocker, you have that white background to the white badge, but because it's more of a circle badge with the blue, it fits. You can see it.
Well, the white stripe actually helps pronounce the badge as well, and anything you get from City, it'll have the word City on it somewhere. I'm trying to think of other examples of that, but yeah, like tracksuit trousers and all sorts of stuff. They'll usually have the word city somewhere. Not always, but often
No, I think
the
I
case.
agree with you on this one. So this is an absolute creamer, and this is the first absolute creamer we've had since starting these rankings here. So let's move that into its absolute creamer status. So the next kit, because you are a City supporter, wanted to rate a couple of City kits today, and obviously keep bias aside. This is the away kit, which I think is interesting. What are your thoughts on this one, Primon?
I'd just call this a creamer. It's got a very clear logo of the club there, but it's a very odd colour to be playing in. I think I've seen a black away kit before. It's okay, but I know I do like that away kit with the which we play in occasionally with the white and the stripe. Now in the Club World Cup, I think we played in that white kit with the stripe on an occasion.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember whether that relates to last season's kit or what's coming up this season, but I prefer that. So for that reason, I'm just going to say this is a creamer. This
This
one.
is a creamer. I think so too. This next one is really nice. So I'm a fan of. Well, actually, no. We'll do Man United right now. They're next.
Okay.
I'm not as big a fan of this one, but I'm curious your thoughts on this Man United kit for 25-26 season.
The design on the sleeves is quite interesting. However, I can see those stripes I don't like again on the shoulder. But because the slightly arty design on the shoulder and the sleeves is quite decent, I'm going to say it's run of the mill.
It's run of the mill. I think so too.
And obviously, the words theatre of dreams doesn't excite me very much.
Let's move this to run of the mill. So this will go right next to Leeds United there on the run of the mill side. Next kit we have, you've talked a little bit about, I think you'll talk a little bit more about this in the podcast and potentially St. James and Newcastle here. What are your thoughts on this kit, the home kit for Newcastle United?
Well, obviously, they have their traditional black and white stripes, which Newcastle always play at home in. I don't know. I've seen better kits from Newcastle, and part of it's to do with the sponsorship. Their best kit was actually when they were being sponsored by Newcastle Brown Ale, when they had the iconic blue image of the Tyne Bridge with the yellow star that's associated with Newcastle Brown. And I haven't seen anything better than that from Newcastle. This it's nothing special. It's nothing terrible. I'm just going to say run of the mill.
Run of the mill. Okay, I can see that. I personally think it could be a creamer, but run of the mill is your choice. So let's go with that. And of course, yeah, we'll put up an image of that old Newcastle kit that would be an absolute creamer, right? That Newcastle kit. If yeah,
Yes, that would be. Yeah.
would you argue that that would potentially even be better than City's 25-26 kit if they brought back that?
Oh, the old
Yes,
Newcastle kit with the Newcastle Brown, the Tyne Bridge, and the star. Probably the best home kit I've seen in the league.
So next, Prime Mutton, we have a club that has stayed up in the Premier League here. You know, they've had a bunch of years down and below the Premier League, and a classic club that's won 2 Champions League titles, one more than City. Of
Yeah,
course, I won't get into them. I have nothing against City. I just always find that fascinating. We have Nottingham Forest here. What are your thoughts on this kit?
yeah. I don't know. I like the old traditional Forest kit where you could see the club badge, which is quite different to a lot of because it's like a tree and the word forest underneath it. The stripy design is a bit. I'm going to say run of the mill for this. I was thinking I was going to give this forest um, shirt a very very high rating, but I know these stripes. I don't associate them with Forest at all. Maybe Forest fans will disagree with me, but I think I prefer what they were wearing last season.
Run of the mill. Can I make one comment though? Maybe it will sway you, but maybe not. What are your thoughts on the collar? So collar jerseys versus non-collar jerseys.
For me, I'm not wild about wearing a collar myself. I find it a bit restrictive, to be honest. And part of it's to do with the fact that sometimes if I go to a game, I've got a little microphone kit and something that's got a deep, I don't know, so it starts
A
at
deep V.
end of the
Yeah,
collar
yeah,
down
yeah.
here. A V, I can stick my microphone. If it's a collar up there, sometimes when I'm filming, I'm having to do this because you don't want the tip of the microphone to touch your
To be rubbing off.
chin. Yeah.
Totally fair. Okay, so we'll make that a run of the mill. You said, and let's move on to the
Yeah.
next one. And I'm curious with a couple of these last kits, maybe even if there's some Guinness that or pubs, nearby pubs or watering holes that you can think of. Sunderland being one. That's an interesting town, I think, and they're back up in the Premier League. What are your
Hmm.
thoughts on the Sunderland kit for this season?
Yeah, the traditional colours. And I do actually like the fact that the club crest is right over the middle of the breast of the shirt. In the, I like that one. Hmm, I'm gonna say that's a creamer. That one.
It's a creamer. Have you been to Sunderland before, as a city, as a town?
Yeah, quite a few times. In the early 2010s, we went there quite a lot. We kept drawing them in cups as well. And in the league, we lost 1-0 away 3 times to a team that was really struggling to stay in the division. And I went to all 3 of them, including one match where we had a billion shots on goal. And in the last minute, we hit the bar, and then they got the ball raced away and won 1-0, which was like daylight robbery. So I do remember those trips, and hopefully history won't repeat itself this year.
No, I think it's good though to have Sunderland back up in the Premier League. So I'm looking forward to that as just a
Good atmosphere there, I'd say.
yeah, yeah. Well, now we go down to London and we have Tottenham. So Tottenham Hotspur here. Prime, what do you think of this kit for 25-26 season?
I do like that. Let me have a closer look at this. Yeah, I like the way the black colour
Hmm.
is melded along the shoulders. I like the club crest, the cockerel being right in the middle of the shirt. I'm going to say that's an absolute creamer. I think that's a good
That's
design,
an
that one.
absolute creamer next to Man City. Now, do you think Tottenham has what it takes with a new coach this season to compete with the likes of City, with the likes of Liverpool? You think they'll have a good year this year?
Oh, it's hard to know because Tottenham will be expected, with the exception of a few games, to play completely off the front foot all the time. Now, I know Thomas Frank managed to successfully do that tactically with Brentford. Different personnel here, so I don't know. I think we have to wait and see. I mean, he's obviously a good manager, but this is a step up in terms of expectation for him. Okay, more expensive players, but doesn't always mean they're better.
It is unique though that as a manager in the Premier League, you can stay. So he's, I don't know if he has to move homes. I don't know if he has to uproot anything. Obviously, he was at Brentford before, so he gets to stay in the same town in the same city, which maybe that'll kind of help
Yeah.
his transition, of course, too.
Well, I think Tottenham have still suffered a little bit from the era where they sold Gareth
Mhm.
Bale and then used the money to buy a group of players who were like cost 20 million, and I think they nearly all flopped. So that this culture of bad transfer business is something that needs to be resolved, and as a result, it's understandably made the chairman and the owner extremely cautious about dipping into the market. When I've played against Tottenham, or well, not when I've watched City play, they've actually done quite well, but that's because they're playing off the back foot and countering all the time. You saw it in the Europa League final between Tottenham and Manchester United, two teams who like to play like that and counter, and neither of them were actually making the play. So I think we'll have to wait and see in Tottenham. I'm not convinced that they'll. I think they'll do better than
Yeah,
last
yeah.
season, but I don't think they'll make any great
Let's
waves.
see what Thomas Frank can do. And guys, obviously, Prime Mutton has some solid ball knowledge here, so make sure you might know him for Guinness, but he also does all of the Man City vlogs, splices those in with the Guinness. I love the combination of the two. He does what I don't think many traveler vloggers do. So reviewing food, drink, and football. If you're a football fan, you have to like all three. It's kind of the trinity in a way, especially if you're a Guinness guy. So like myself. So this is awesome to have him here on the podcast, on the show. The next one we have here, this is West Ham United's kit. What do you think of this one, Prime Mountain?
Yeah, I think I like that one. The usual claret, a little bit less of the blue than you'd expect from West Ham. I'm trying to think back of what their kit was like last season. I like the collar. Trying to see what nothing, no stripes on the shoulders. I'm going to say that's a creamer. It's like not a wildly extravagant design, but I think it gets over the club's colours and the badge quite well.
It's a creamer. Yeah, that's actually interesting. They didn't play up the blue, and I like that blue. It's kind of that like light turquoise that I think kind of meshes nicely with the
Yeah,
maroon. Yeah. So it's a creamer.
yeah,
All right. So at the top right now of the it's a creamer, absolute creamer scale, we have Man City, we have Tottenham, followed by multiple clubs. You see where we're at right now at this point in the episode. Last, but certainly not least, I think that this is a club that oftentimes gets overlooked just in general. I don't know how many Wolverhampton fans there are in the U.S., although I do know of a good pub in Philly, Bad Brother, that is a Wolverhampton bar locally. But I don't hear much about them on this side of the Atlantic. But Wolverhampton Wanderers with their kit, this is an interesting one, Prime One, and I think it's a cool one for last because yeah, the design there is quite unique.
yeah. I mean the colours that Wolves play in. Uh, I have to say, I tend to think that they're more sort of between yellow and gold or orange even. It's like a I don't know the color doesn't look quite like what I'd associate with wolves. Some interesting patterns on the shirt, I have to say. I'm going to go run of the mill here because I just don't think the club's colour is as pronounced as I'd expect it to be. Maybe Wolves fans would care to differ or beg to differ here, but I think that's a bit bland compared to what I expect from Wolves.
So there we have it, guys. Here are the final ratings for Prime Mutton's 25-26 home kits for the Premier League. Obviously, a completely different scale to Guinness, where you have your we kept it on the same scale, but very different to drinking Guinness. So Prime Mutton, I really appreciate you today, kind of diving into the world of football kits here and doing this. Hopefully, this was fun for you.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing that, and I got to see some kits I wasn't aware of. And of course, the most important opinion is the supporters of the clubs concerned. Because, for example, Wolves fans might love this. For me, that one just a bit average, and fans of various other clubs might beg to differ as well with my opinion.
Well, there you have it, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Prime Mutton, thank you so much for doing the kit rankings today. At the end of this video, I'll also link it to the podcast, which will be following shortly after this kit ranking video here with the Prime Mutton, where we will talk quite a bit about his travels in the US, his Guinness scale, and all of his traveling history there. Prime Mutton, thank you so much for coming on today's show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You're welcome.
Guys, this is State of Soccer. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.